I've been having a lot of pinch me moments lately, and I've been trying to put into words exactly how to describe this feeling. I wish I could just play a short trailer of my life for y'all. I'm a first-gen Vietnamese American. My parents left their home country by fishing boat and sailed to a refugee camp before coming to America. Despite not knowing the English language and being robbed of a full educational experience, they did everything in their power to make sure that my sister and I had our basic necessities. And my parents were not well off by any means. I feel like a lot of people assume that I come from money and that I have mommy and daddy's money. That's not true at all. We lived off of food stamps for half of my life, and until recently I had no idea, but my parents were in a lot of debt. And I didn't know because they did such a good job of making sure that I had the luxury of just focusing on school and extracurriculars. Free extracurriculars, of course. There was no dance or sports for me. It was mostly just school clubs. I had the luxury of not worrying about debt. I knew that we weren't well off, and I knew that we paid for groceries with food stamps, and I knew that I got free lunch at school. Other than that, I really was not left for wanting a lot. I knew that I didn't look like the kids in my school. I knew that I couldn't wear the same clothes that the kids in my school could wear. And I also knew that despite wanting to be a doctor, there would be a lot of hoops that I had to jump through, a lot of research that I would have to do on my own. And honestly, I didn't even know if I could afford going to university. So my initial plan was to go to community college and transfer to university after a couple of years there. But somehow I was blessed to be granted with a full ride to university and somehow made it to medical school as well with academic scholarships. I kind of lucked out there. I worked as hard as I did to secure these scholarships through academic achievements and leadership positions and extracurricular involvement, because I knew that if I didn't get scholarships, there was no way I was going to university or going to medical school. It just wasn't gonna happen. Honestly, if I didn't end up getting those scholarships, I probably would have gone to work a lot sooner. I wouldn't have pursued this long career path of becoming a doctor because I would have wanted to make money sooner to take care of my parents and to pay off all of the debt that I accumulated. Medical school was really hard. I was seeing all of my former classmates and college friends going to happy hour and going to work and making money, traveling whenever they wanted, while I was stuck inside studying for the next exam. And on top of that, I was missing so many life events despite being so close to my family in proximity, because again, studying and trying to get into the most competitive specialty that everyone said that I wouldn't be able to match into because I'm a DO and I had no resources or connections whatsoever. But honestly, these were also some of the best years of my life. I met my very best friends there. I could make my own schedule for the most part. I didn't realize how lucky I was until I started my internship during the global pandemic that shut down and devastated the entire world. The pandemic was devastating to experience as a first-year doctor who wasn't yet burned out, seeing things most people will never experience and experiencing it before we even experienced anything else, before we even learned how to diarrhea someone. We were living in this constant life or death and fear as first-year doctors, our first experience in the real world. Honestly, nothing and no one could have prepared us to start our first years as doctors in the peak of a pandemic. And I'm very, very grateful and lucky to have made it through with my classmates and gone on this journey together with my co-residents. In derm residency, my hours got significantly better and the patient cases weren't so morbid anymore. It was great. But I faced a whole new set of difficulties, learning everything about the hair, the skin, the nails, and expected to be the expert, but never being allowed to assert that knowledge for fear of coming off as arrogant, but being seen as inadequate if you didn't assert your knowledge, navigating different personalities and preconceived biases about who I am as a person and what kind of doctor I am, learning to navigate the invisible and yet ever-present politics of medicine, all while being told that my specialty was all just skincare and cosmetics by people who clearly knew nothing about dermatology, but liked to think that they did. Altogether, becoming a full attending physician was a lot more taxing than I ever expected. And it wasn't just about putting in the work and the time and caring for your patients. In fact, the hardest part was navigating all of the ancillary forces that you're subjected to. And sometimes medicine has no wins. For instance, if a patient throws a clot in their calf but also has a bleed in their brain, what are you gonna do? Risk a PE and don't give anticoagulation, or anticoagulate and risk worsening a hemorrhagic stroke? Or you spend all day fighting insurance companies behind the scenes only to get the brunt of the frustration that comes with not receiving the care and the medication that you know the patient so desperately needs. I romanticize things that I love, and medicine is no different, but the reality is it's freaking hard. It's hard. Not just because of how long it takes and how much studying you have to do, how much of your personal life that you have to sacrifice, but even more so because being exposed to so much suffering and personality egos, that takes a real toll on you. You're either left to harden or crumble. And the wins are amazing. When I had a patient come back from the brink of death, when I rehabilitated a patient from his alcoholism, or when I was able to give a patient her life back by treating her psoriasis so that her partner didn't recoil in fear and she wasn't crippled by her joint pain anymore. I feel like I'm floating on clouds when I get these patient encounters. Like everything I've sacrificed has been worth it for someone. But honestly, I thought there would be more of that. Yet here I am, years later, still holding on to just a handful of those experiences, holding on to them for dear life to get me through the hard days. I remember telling Evan that I would literally become a banshee if my last life experience was intern year in the peak of a global pandemic. An angry spirit. I would have come back to haunt him. I would have come back to haunt everyone, honestly. And then that same day, I found out that someone that I knew passed away, literally months after graduating from residency. It just made me rethink life. I'm gonna go for a little sun-kissed look today, because I don't want to actually be sun-kissed, because sun damage. That's kind of cute. Anyways, it just made me rethink life. I have always wanted to be a dermatologist, and I truly believe that we should always pursue our dreams no matter how long or how much it takes. What if you knew that you would die a year from now? What would you do then? Would you keep going down this path? All I've ever known is working my butt off for a far-off goal. I feel like if I knew I only had a year left, I would quit everything and not just live, but experience truly being alive. Travel, eat, etc., dance. I don't know, like everything, do everything. Because I wouldn't get to be a derm anyway. But if you live longer than a year, then being a derm is all I've ever wanted. So I don't know, it's a weird thing to weigh against each other. We in medicine live for the next 4 years. In 4 years, I'm gonna get into medical school. In 4 years, I'm gonna match into residency, and then I'll be happy. In 4 years, I'll graduate residency, and then I'll be happy. In 4 years, I'll graduate fellowship, and then I'll be happy. In 4 years, I'll become an attending, and then I'll finally be happy. It'll all be worth it eventually. We're constantly living for the next big thing, the next 4 years. I get so emotional thinking of all the things I've had to miss in this pursuit of purpose. Birthdays, weddings, my cousins growing up, nieces and nephews being born, neighborhood walks with my grandpa before he became too fragile to make long walks. Oh my God, ew, don't cry when I just did my makeup. So nice, don't make me cry, guys. Why are you doing this? It's been really hard not being there for my village, especially because it's truly taken a village for me to get here. My love and my best friend, Evan, who was my chef, my maid, my Splenda daddy, my anchor and my protector and my lifeline. He adjusted so much of his own life for me. He moved across the country for me, changed his sleep schedule entirely so that I wouldn't have to be alone when I was on nights, carrying so much of the load to ease the burden of my medical training and my second job. Knowing he always had my back is how I survived, honestly. My family and friends who've been so understanding of all the missed calls, the missed texts, the missed life events, knowing that they were waiting for me at the finish line and always cheering me on, really meant the whole world. My mentors, whose guidance helped me navigate both difficult life circumstances and difficult patient cases, they were my safeguard and my North Star in trying times. My classmates and co-residents, who were probably the only people that truly understood what I was going through and what we were all going through. I feel very, very lucky to have gone on this journey with them. My nurses and medical assistants and staff, I've lost count of how many times that they've saved me, defended me, protected me, and laughed with me. I could not have done my job without their support. I guess for now, I'm going to live as if I have a long life ahead, but I'm going to be more appreciative of the journey and even more cognizant of how I spend my time here. I'm gonna do a whole lot more of what I want outside of just constantly grinding in pursuit of the long-term goal. And now that I finally graduated for the 4th and final time from 24th grade, now that I am finally and officially a dermatologist, I get to make my own life decisions, and I have decided to quit.
And I have decided to quit.
To take time off. A lot of time off. I'm gonna laugh more, eat more, dance more, enjoy the outdoors more, hold my loved ones tighter, and be grateful for today, the present, and for each new day that I'm given. I'm gonna rediscover the softness I had before the process hardened her. I'm gonna show up for my loved ones even harder in ways that I've always wanted to, but couldn't before. And for the next few months, I'm gonna be traveling all around the world. And I'm so excited to take y'all with me. I'm so excited. And whether unintentional gap years or intentional gap years, people in medicine need to get a grip and stop stigmatizing them so hard. In my opinion, gap years are so underrated. Personal development, real growth outside of a career. Why is that something that people look down on? I don't get it. It really is crazy because I have had this picture perfect path going straight through with no gaps, no breaks, whatever is idealized in this world of medicine. I found myself jealous of my friends who've taken gap years, admiring them for all the things that they've learned outside of the world of medicine and all that they've learned about themselves. And when I first announced this on Instagram and TikTok, people were harassed, to say the least. People were saying, how could you quit? You gave up when the going got tough. Honey, I persevered when the going got tough, okay? I finished all the tough parts, the medical school, the residency, and then I quit. After. It's only uphill from here. So if anything, I quit after I've already endured. Medicine breeds a sort of forced devotion that comes at the expense of life outside of a career. And I have been and remain still devoted to serving my patients through my job. Dermatology has been and always will be my dream. It truly is such an incredible privilege to take care of patients, and that privilege is what makes me love the job. But it's still a job at the end of the day. And I am more than my career. We're all more than our careers. We spend so much time pursuing medicine and our goals and resumes that our personal self-development, our gratification outside of work, our life, they all get put on the back burner and delayed. I've seen some people never develop themselves outside of medicine or outside of their work, and they're truly happy to do so. I love that for them. I really do. I'm happy for them, but that's not me. That's never been me, and it never will be me. In the pursuit of this dream job, I've lost so much of what I used to love about myself. And I want to find that again. This isn't forever because, again, dermatology is still my dream. And I just know that taking care of patients and putting my knowledge to good use is essential to my well-being. But for once, I'm going to prioritize my own personal self-development. I want to know more about just Madalyn. I'm going to prioritize my loved ones. I want to know more about them. I want to hold them tighter. I want to hold them more often. The road has certainly not been easy by any means. There were so many moments, some shared, but most in private, that made me question if my dreams would ever become a reality. But we survived it. We did it. Through every high and every low, you must keep moving, trying your best to put one foot in front of the other. And one day, you will make yourself proud. If you feel like your life is just mountain after mountain of difficulties and challenges, like you can never catch a break, I hope that this video gives you a little hope that a little grit and a little gratitude go a long way. Until next time, be kind and be sun protected.